But so I wanted to ask you this: if there was anything that you could have changed about the process, what do you think you would have changed early on, or that you didn't do that you would do now?
Trying to do everything myself. Like I was decorating myself, um, cleaning myself, maintaining the listings, changing the price. Like I was doing everything myself to the point where it became a full time job, and that I regret later that I took so long to start outsourcing help. Because for years I was just doing this myself, with the help of my one friend. But at that, like I said, at the height of it all, I had 13 places, and that's between here, Atlanta at one point, and Miami. So it was like a lot of juggling. Like sometimes it got overwhelming. So that's one thing I regret is waiting so long to find help. I was trying to keep all the money to myself when I could have been perfectly fine, dishing out a few bucks here and there to get extra help to free up my time.
Yeah, it's the same thing for me. Over the course of 3 years of doing it, I've probably lost $10,000 to $15,000 on tolls and parking tickets because I'm a super procrastinator. So like, you have X amount of time to submit the Turo if someone gets a parking ticket or goes through a couple of tolls. But honestly, I was making so much money. For me, it was so much money that when I lost $100 on a parking ticket, it didn't really matter. When I lost $5 on a trip for tolls, it didn't really matter. But it adds up really quick, and it was like this system that I could have used, and it ended up, I think it was like $10 a car. You know what I mean? And I didn't want to give that dude $300 a month to use the system. I'm like, yeah, I'll just do it myself, which was the stupidest shit ever. Um, Also, I put all the cars under my personal name. If I was a little bit smarter, I would have put them under my business name because then I could have went and turned it into a real. I had an exit strategy was I was going to turn it into a car dealership, but I could have turned it into a real rental business where I could rent it out to people, and just have them come and give me cash because it got crazy. And Toro as it went on, it's still profitable for me, but Toro as it went on, like they started clamping down on lots of stuff, paying a little bit less on claims, paying a little bit less. They're taking more of a percentage and all the rest of that stuff like that. So definitely going and finding help. I would have found, I don't know, some whoever, you know what I mean, just to do all the stuff I didn't want to do. And I got addicted to, like how you said, you every month you were buying an apartment. I was getting 1, 2, 3 cars a month, and as soon as I got it, and I went and I got the registration, all that stuff. Like, at first I was putting car chargers in all the cars, making sure they all had like spare tires, and then like stuff to wipe off snow, and then you know what I mean. And like the money was coming so fast, and people. I started getting regulars who would call me like, Sherwyn, you don't have any more cars? And at the time I had like 12 cars. I'm like, damn, no, I don't. So I would go get cars like specifically for regulars. And like I would forget like to put a toll pass in one of them, or you know what I mean? Just like small things that ended up, hurting me when I could have waited the extra 2 days, 3 days a week just to make sure that everything was cool, make sure that, the tires were good or whatever and stuff like that. Um, but I learned, I did a lot of the mechanic work myself too. Like I learned how to change brakes on a car. Before I could only change a tire. Like I learned how to change an alternator. Like, I've done suspension, all this stuff. That I probably spent like 7 grand on tools. I think it was good for me to learn. I probably would have saved money paying somebody, but in the business, it was also good too because if somebody bring back your car from a week-long trip, you don't know how much they're driving it, and the brakes are starting to make a funny noise, and it's 7 o'clock, and somebody's coming to rent it at 10 that night. You can't bring it to no mechanic shop, so I had to do it myself. You know what I mean? Light bulbs and all the rest of that stuff. So I'm glad I did some stuff myself, but outsourcing was something that I definitely should have did. A little bit more. Um, so I think as a general thing, that's a lot that that I have to give out. I don't know if anybody has any questions.